let's talk about being detached and why this is your greatest superpower. So you see, the human being is made up of three parts, fundamentally. The body, the mind, and consciousness. And all that consciousness is, you can think about it, the ultimate transcendent state of energy. So you have like physical energy, but you have consciousness that is energy beyond the boundaries of space and time, beyond all limitations. And so, you have the body and you have the world of 10,000 things. And so long as you have identity with the body or the mind, you are under the jurisdiction of Maya, the world, illusion, this cosmic nightmare, this meat grinder of human souls, well, souls in general. And, for spiritual people, for the spiritual masters and the spiritual community, one of their big goals is to transcend, let's just say, the cycle of suffering. So long as you are attached to the body or the mind, you are attached to the world, and the world keeps you a slave. This is the whole narrative of the Matrix. And so it keeps you as a battery in the Matrix, feeding off of your energy, keeping you from the realization of your true nature. And it's not just our American system or the world system. The entire universe is set up this way. It has nothing to do with politics or the reptilians. This is how God set up the universe. Because in order to enjoy this horrific experience of life, God had to forget that God was God. Because if God knew, well then, it would take the fun out of the whole experience. So as long as your identity is with the body or the mind, you are attached to everything. And what Buddha said about this universe, and what is obvious if you pay attention, is that everything is changing, no matter what. They say change is the only constant in life, and that is wrong. And so when you are attached to the changing, you will experience getting pulled all over the place. And that is being a slave. You become a slave to the system, a slave to money, and worst of all, a slave to the mind. Because the mind is most certainly always changing. And so if you are in the state of always changing, there is constant fear and anxiety, because change is the nature of death. Something arises for a short time and then goes away. And so if you are identified with the changing, you are not living, you are dying. Most people are dying with only brief moments of life. That is why the most important thing for you is to escape this prison, which the power of detachment will allow you to do. Now think about it just for a moment, how much you suffer on a daily basis. Because that is how you'll know how close you are to freedom or not. Imagine like escaping the Earth's atmosphere. If you're on the ground level, that is where it's heaviest. But as you start going up and up and up, the weight becomes lighter. You become more free. And at the end, when you finally reach into outer space, you are weightless, ultimately free. So the more you suffer, the more you are really stuck in the ground. One way to look at this is, imagine if there was a storm, great big storm, and it was raining, and there was thunder, and there was chaos, and even some tornadoes. And you were right underneath that storm, and you feel like you're in hell, because you kind of are. But imagine if you were flying in an airplane and looking at that storm from down below. It's the same storm, right? Wrong. It's not the same storm. These are two completely different definitions of the word. The true definition of the word comes from the experience that you have with this phenomenon. And so when you are detached, you are in that airplane looking at the storm from down below. And when you are attached to the body and the mind, you are in the thick of it. And so what I am offering you is what God has offered me, and that is freedom from it all. Because as I said, living life as a slave is not actually living. It's just dying with, like Buzz Lightyear said, it's like falling with style, but you're dying with style. You know what's crazy? If I hadn't learned this, I would be dead a long time ago. Most certainly. Because two actions, let's say, the same action, but in the past of who I used to be, would create so much suffering, so much agony, so much fear, guilt, shame, negativity. And that same action, same one, now almost has no effect over me whatsoever because of this power of detachment. Before, I was a person acting. Now, I am an awareness watching action take place. And so all of the psychological nonsense goes out the window. Now, of course, I can still watch the storm. I can see the clouds and all the rain and the thunder and the tornadoes, but I am free from it all. Because this consciousness, unlike the mind or the body, is in the transcendent state. In reality, rather than left to right, it would be from top down. So consciousness is the transcendent state. The mind is down here. The body and the world and stuff. And so the mind has no power over consciousness. The body has no power over consciousness. The world has no power over consciousness. Because consciousness exists in the heavenly realms. It is the heavenly realm. But the tricky thing is, and where most people kind of get stuck on the spiritual journey, is that they are this little person down here on a spiritual journey trying to go up to heaven. They're on a mission. And if you're here, I imagine that you would prefer the truth, that you would rather want the result rather than the fantasy in your imagination. Maybe I'm wrong. But the fact is that you do not have to do anything to reach this transcendent state. Because you are already there. You see, if you are a person on a spiritual journey, you can be stuck on that journey indefinitely. Thousands of lifetimes. Because there's no end. Or at least it appears to have no end. The only thing that you need in order to reach this transcendent state is to recognize that you are already there. And that there really was no spiritual journey. Because there was no person to embark on a journey, and that there was no distance to the destination. In this recognition, it all ends. And because there is no such thing as an ending without a beginning, or a beginning without an end, the true journey begins. And this is a journeyless journey. A pathless path. A wayless way. And this is when you simply watch your life unfold as it does. And things come along in your life experience to try and make you forget again. To make you forget your true nature. To try and get you to remember the illusion. To make you believe that it's all so real. Just so that you could forget and rejoice in the act of remembering. You see, the reason detachment is so powerful is because detachment is the nature of consciousness. When you are transcendent, you are beyond all things. Now, this does not mean being dissociated from your reality. This does not mean running away from your experiences. It means learning to remain in your true place as awareness, so that you can be free to live life fully. Because until you reach this state, you cannot truly live. Because these attachments will have their power over you. You will say, it's so hard to survive in this economy. Food is so expensive. Gas prices. The presidential elections. Come on. This world it seems to be going to hell. And you will feel stuck in a hostile world. But in fact, you are only stuck in the prison of your own mind. And let me tell you, from this altitude, I see a whole lot of people standing underneath that storm. I am not special, and I am not better than you. I have simply suffered more in a short amount of time, made more mistakes, and simply have gotten tired of the game more quickly than most people. Because if there's no storm, well, there's no reason to transcend. Only when there is a storm do you have the desire to escape. Do you have the desire for freedom? And you might ask, well, how does one become detached? How does one remain as awareness? And I would say, does it take any effort to be aware right now at this moment? Does it take any effort to let go of something? I mean, surely it takes some effort to hold on. It takes no effort to be yourself. And it takes a lot of effort to try and be somebody. And so you see, it's not that you have to do anything to be detached or to transcend. It only requires your recognition. You have to see through the illusion for your own eyes. Consciousness is true seeing. And it doesn't take any effort to see. But I like to say the truth is like our nose. It's often so close to our face that the only way to see it is by looking in the mirror. You must come to the recognition of your true place as awareness in this moment now. And you can do this by closing your eyes and trying to find the person you believe yourself to be. And you know that right here, right now, you exist. But as what do you exist? Find the answer to this question, and you will find freedom.